It's going to be all over the place, and I literally mean all over the place. It's TMO with John Plumtree and Grant Bashford. At the moment, Grant Bashford here with us in studio. Hello, Coach.
Hello, Kerry. How are you today?
I am fantastic, Coach. Look, it's just you and me in the studio, but then sitting in Cardiff, I believe. Plum, how are you, boy?
Hey, Kerry. Hey, Bash. How are you?
Hello, Plummy boy. We're missing you now. There's so much more room in this little showroom here without you, though. And I'm in your seat, so I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, he's pretending to be the big dog.
There's only one Plum, buddy. There's only one Plum. Just remember that.
Fair enough. I actually prefer being in the other seat anyway, so I look forward to coming back.
All right, so boys, we've got an amazing show. Thank you to you two today. And Coach, thank you so much for taking time out of your family vacay to join us. TMO happens every single Thursday from 12 until 1. And today we've also got another very special guest. He is coming to us. Where is he today? In the UK?
He's at the cricket.
Mitchell. He's at the cricket.
He's at the cricket. Yeah, the Oval. So New Zealand and England started the second test yesterday. So he's there.
Oh
day two of the test. Yeah,
that is incredible.
Day two, yeah.
Okay, so listen, before I let you boys go ahead and do all the things you need to do, before we get into Schoolboy Rugby, a little birdie told me that if you have got a couch and a TV, that's where you need to be this weekend, because there is just rugby on rugby on rugby. Bash, can you tell me what is happening this weekend?
She said you spot on, Kerry. I mean, the weekend starts on Friday, so you've got the French semi-final, number 1, Toulouse versus Racing. You've got the URC final, Leinster versus the Bulls at 8:30 for all you South African fans. All right, Saturday morning, you can wake up nice and early and watch the Super Rugby final. That kicks off around 9 o'clock. That's the Hurricanes versus the Chiefs. And then obviously Saturday afternoon, a double header at the Kaberga Stadium. Is that right?
You can just say GQ.
GQ, okay. Kaberga. The SAA team versus Zimbabwe at 12, followed by the Springboks versus the Barbarians at 3 o'clock. And then for good measure, you've got the Premiership final at Twickenham, which is Northampton versus Exeter. And then just to wash things down at 9 o'clock in the evening, you've got French semi number 2, Bordeaux versus Toulon, which kicks off at 9 o'clock in the evening. So a really eventful long day of rugby on Saturday and starting Friday night if you want.
And now, I mean, look, that's already, your whole weekend is done. That's fantastic.
No, but we haven't even started with the school stuff yet.
Oh, okay. Well, off to school, boys. Off you go. And let's just double check. Plum, are you fine? You can hear us okay?
Yes, perfectly. And I'm just praying for on Saturday now, a nice wet Cardiff day, so I don't have to go anywhere but watch the rugby.
Excellent. All right, boys. School rugby. And I must say, the school rugby content you guys have been doing is doing remarkably well. People love hearing your predictions. They love hearing your opinions. They don't always agree with both of you, but that's what we're here for. So what's the school rugby update this week?
Well, if you go by predictions, mine have been shocking of late, but it goes back to my original thing that's saying how close the school system is this year. So on Saturday last week, we had 2 very big games. Michael House were playing college up at Meadows in Belgowan, and I'd predicted that college would win that. And after Michael House losing the previous week to Westville by 52 points to 19, but as Murphy's Law would have it, Michael House performed admirably and won 24-17. Congratulations to Marco Engelbrecht and his Michael House crew on that win. College have really been going really well, and they beat us the week before. They beat Hilton the week prior to that on the College Old Boys Day. So I couldn't predict that one, and a massive effort by Michael House there to get up after that loss and win that game. Kersney, on the other hand, we travelled up to Hilton, all right, to play against them up there. It was Brad McLeod's last home game on Gilfillian. He's finishing up a long coaching tenure at Hilton. And I just want to congratulate Brad on the years that he's put on there and the job that he's done with his team. Another cracker, we lost last week. When I say we, Kersney lost last week by 2 points to College. And this week we went down 31-27, 4 points. But a cracker of a game once again. I was so proud of the effort my boys put in. And we had an opportunity going into the last play of the game and we got penalised, and that was it. But a 4-point game and 2 really good games that were entertaining for everyone around. This weekend, the big one, Michael House Hilton return match. up in Balgowan on Meadows. Hilton winning that first clash, but now it's their Old Boys Day, Michael House Old Boys Day up at Balgowan. If anyone's in that area, you have to go and watch this. It's an amazing setup.
Saturday, this week
Saturday, yeah, the return match up at Michael House. And like I say, Michael House have just knocked off College, who were the top Natal team. 24-17, so they go into this clash with a lot of confidence from last weekend, and Hilton obviously the number one as of this week, number one Natal team.
Well done, Hilton.
So good job by Brad, as I've mentioned. So cracker game going to be taking place up there. And then Kersney hosts St. Albans from Pretoria. That's the only other game in the Natal school game this weekend. A lot of schools don't play rugby during the exam period, and so those are the two games. St. Albans lost to Pretoria Boys last week, and so we host them up at Bothers Hill on the weekend. So I'm really looking forward to that match.
So you should win pretty comfortably this weekend.
Well, if you go on results, we should, Plummy. So I'm backing us this weekend by at least 20 points. Hopefully, I don't want to be arrogant, but if we play well, that's what I'm hoping we're going to get.
Okay, well,
Hilton, Michael, Plum. What do you say? That's well, you
can't afford to be overconfident, can you?
No, you can never be overconfident.
But you're sounding like you're pretty overconfident.
No, I'm not. I've done my analysis and I'm being honest.
Okay, cool. And what about the Michael House game?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. What's your prediction on that?
No, Michael House will win that at home return game. Yeah, they'll get that. They didn't. Yeah, they'll get that one. I'm backing the Michael House boys this week. Are you?
I'm also backing Michael House at home.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. After that performance last week, College were leading apparently going into the last final 5 minutes of the game, and they managed to turn it around. So a big shout out there to the Michael House, Marco Engelbrecht, as I said, in this team for getting up after a hard day against Westville, turning the corner against College, and now going and welcoming Hilton to Michael House for that Old Boys Day.
So it's the last game of Schoolboy Rugby this weekend, eh?
That's until the third term. Then there's 3 schools or 4 schools that play third term rugby, and the rest don't. Another interesting fixture I just want to touch on quickly is the Natal Schools Craven Week side travelled up to Pretoria on Monday for their game against the Bulls on Tuesday. And I want to give Peter Engeldow and his Natal Schools team a massive shout out for beating the Bulls at Loftus. You know, that was a phenomenal performance, and they won 49-29 against the Bulls side.
Wow.
So it was convincing, you know, and really proud of that Sharks team. So they're going to be carrying the flag for us to Craven Week this year, which is again in QC. What do you call it?
GQ. Think of like the old dudes magazine.
Okay.
Unless we learn to spell Oveja.
She's got some of those under his bed.
And that's it for the school section. We've got a lot to get through today, Kerry, because of our special guests, so we need to keep moving.
And then our other coach is coming to us live from Cardiff today. Cardiff. Oh, there's
2 bags stolen yesterday. Can you believe that, out of his car in Cardiff?
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Africa's not so bad after all.
Plum, did you guys get jacked yesterday?
Yeah. So we were loading the car up to come around.
And now we're going to be moving straight on to Premier, guys. What's happening there?
I'll kick off with the Premiership, and then Plummy will lead us into Super Rugby. So the semi-finals of the English Premiership took place on the weekend, and Northampton played Leicester, and 45 points to 31. You know, I think we both predicted that Northampton would win that game. The standout for them was a hat-trick from midfielder Tom Leachfield. All right, but a pretty predictable game according to Plum and Bash. You know, we thought Northampton would do that. In the second one, all right, Bath took on Exeter, Bath favourites to win that game, and were leading 26-10 at some stage, and an unbelievable comeback from Exeter saw them win that game 27 points to 26. Plum, I know you watched a bit of that, and there was a bit of controversy at the end with the decision-making of the 9. You know, when you had Santi Carreras, the full flower half, standing in a position to take a drop kick, and it never came. You want to add anything to that?
Oh, yeah. Well, look, it was on out wide. It was on for the drop kick. They were right under the post, but they decided to keep it in the forwards. And I think the reserve 9 for Bath didn't hear the calls, and it was held up over the line, and it was game over. But the ruck before, it actually looked like Bath had scored, but the referee never used the TMO because there's some footage came out afterwards, or a photo came out afterwards of a Bath player crossing the line and actually winning the game for Bath. But never went back to it. So it was a pretty dramatic finish.
Geez, yeah, 1 point, but a great comeback from Exeter. So that leads us to this weekend's final, which is playing at Twickenham. All right, Northampton versus Exeter. And my gut feel is Exeter might have played their final last weekend. All right, just from a South African context, there is a bit of South African flavour in this weekend's final, with JJ Funnemesh playing for Northampton. And in the Exeter group, we've got Joseph Dweba. I'm not sure if you guys remember him, the South African hooker, and a young Ethan Berger, who is actually an Natal boy, but played his rugby out of Pretoria University, who is now representing Exeter off the bench on the weekend. Right, just with regard to previous results, Northampton Saints have won it in 2014 and then won it in 2024. So they've took a 10-year drought before they won it in 2024, and now they're in the final this weekend. Exeter won it in 2017 and later again in 2020. So they haven't been in the finals or won it since 2020. So it's got the makings of a great game at Twickenham, and really looking forward to that one as well on the weekend. That leads us into our... Sorry, Plummy.
No, just saying you have to back Northampton. I think they've been there. They've sort of got a more of an experienced side now. Exeter have sort of been a massive improving team this year, so you've got to give them a lot of credit. But like I say, Bash, I think last week was probably their final, but we'll see. I mean, I think Northampton are capable of scoring 3-4 tries against Exeter in the space of 20 minutes, which could actually blow them away. So the Exeter's defence is going to have to be outstanding, and they're going to have to stay in this. They'll need to stay in this final for the full 80 minutes to try and get a result, because Northampton are the type of team that can just tear you apart in the space of 5 minutes.
Yeah. Geez, that Henry Pollock's playing well as well at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah. And they've got that, Mitchell 9. They've got some great playmakers. Finn Smith, isn't it?
Smith.
So they're on top of their game, Northampton, and they'll go into this final feeling really confident. But as we know, with all the finals in the weekend, there's bound to be an upset somewhere along the way.
Yep. But I can't believe you and I are actually agreeing on things today. It's quite nice when you're not here. Really.
Oh, shame. You guys miss each other.
We do miss each other. We pretend not to, but we do.
Mm.
Right, Plummy, do you want to take us away into that Super Rugby then?
Yeah,
right.
Super Rugby
on the weekend, those semis. Sorry, carry on.
Yep, all go this weekend in Wellington. Big final. The last time we were there, like you mentioned last week, Bess, was 2016, and I think the tickets were sold out in 15 minutes. There's the Cape Tin in Wellington, for those people out there that know it. Going to be a massive occasion. Just hopefully the weather will play its part and be nice in Wellington this weekend. Chatted to Jason Holland, the assistant coach of the Hurricanes, yesterday, and the boys are having a good prep week. He's keeping his playmakers calm, and Roygard and Love, who are Ruben Love, who are obviously the 9-10 that I think have just been outstanding this year for the Hurricanes. And probably for me, those two are going to be the All Black 9 and 10s this year, which will be really good to see them playing in the black jersey together, that combination. It's going to be a massive game. The Chiefs last week, I think they were, 45-3 at halftime against the Raiders.
Yeah, 42-5. I sent you a message. You're on the plane because I couldn't believe. But credit to the Blues. I mean, the second half was 7-7. The final score was 49-12. But the damage had been done in the first half. 6 tries to 1. And what a way for Damian McKenzie to achieve his 150th Super Cap for them.
Yeah, well, they played the Crusaders, not the Blues. But the Blues played. But you can't get everything right all the time, Bash.
You can't get it right all the time. I'm looking at the wrong thing. 49-12.
So, but the Blues was same as 19-14 to the Hurricanes at halftime, a real arm wrestle, and then the Hurricanes came out in the semi-final and absolutely blew them away. I think it was like 6 tries in the second half. So yeah, unfortunate way for Vern Cotter to finish his reign at the Blues. But yeah, roll on the Hurricanes. I think after that awesome rendition of the song last week, I think that just
Jeez, Plummy,
inspired the boys.
I really hope they found that somewhere and put it on for the boys, because they would have absolutely loved that coming from you. Jeez, but the Hurricanes in that semi-final, that final before 66-12 against the Brumbies and now 57-21, they can't lose this, surely, Plummy. They've got to be massive favourites going into this, or is that Chief Hurricanes final day anybody's game?
It's anybody's game, both teams. The Chiefs absolutely annihilated the Crusaders pack last week, I heard, and won with the dominant up front physically, got all the momentum through their carry. And then the Hurricanes did exactly the same thing to the Blues, So you got two sides here that are in form. It's hard to really look at them and go, okay, how can we separate them? Both sides got some outstanding playmakers. Both sides are confident. Both sides have got the ability to be able to win possession. Both sides have got the ability to apply pressure and absorb pressure. So it's hard to. I just hope that home ground advantage, is great. It's going to be great for the Hurricanes, isn't it? Majority. There'll be a lot of Chief supporters there, but it'll obviously be a Hurricanes crowd, and hopefully that will be good enough to get us across the line. But I think this is going to be one of the games of the rugby season. So if you like watching early morning footy, I think it's 9 o'clock in South Africa time in the morning. Certainly, we'll be finding a bar somewhere that serves early beer here, and cheer for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, my money's on the Canes. I think sport's kind of cyclical as well, and 10 years after you guys lifted that trophy, I think it's their turn again. So come on, the Hurricanes, black and yellow Hurricanes, to win it. All right, that'll lead us into the... Is there anything else on that, Plummy, or are you happy to move on to URC?
No, all good.
Keep moving. All good. Obviously, this is the one that South Africans have been waiting for. It's the Bulls versus Leinster at Croke Park. We spoke last week about 82,000 people at Croke Park. That's an unbelievable turnout to go and play a final at. We've spoken about, for the Bulls to win, they have to have a good start. Can they dominate set piece? Can they slow the Leinster ball down? Can they win the aerial battle? Can they stay disciplined? Not like they were in the semi, all right, where they had a few yellow cards cost them. And can they make it a physical contest for 80 minutes? Can they do that, Plum?
Yeah, I think they can. We've talked about how exciting this opportunity is for the Bulls. Again, we'll go back to the scrum again. We'll start with it and we'll probably end with it. But reality is that's where the Bulls will be looking to apply pressure. For me, Leinster, they won't want a scrum, so they'll want to be, any types of advantage. They'll want the ball to keep moving. But I just hope that I think you talked about it, Bash, that the Bulls get a really good start, and get their confidence up really early, because Leinster are a type of side that like to come out fast, come out early and build an early lead, don't they? And I just think the longer this contest can go, if the scoreboard pressure is not there for the Bulls, they can stay in this contest, they can win this contest. So I think the longer this game goes on, if it's tight, I think the Bulls will get up. And I say that just because if you look at the impact off the bench, the Bulls for me have got way more in the forwards. So your last thing, you want that impact to come onto the field and have to try and win the game from 10 or 15 points behind. You want that impact to come off the bench, and it's either close and then bring the boys home, or if they're up, take the boys home. So that's for me is the key. There's other parts to it that you can dig a little bit deeper into. Papier, Hogard, they're the 9-10 combination we like more than Jamison, Gibson Park, and the Prendergast, don't we, Bish?
Yeah, for me, I was really surprised they picked Sam Pendergrass for this game. I felt in that Bordeaux final in the Champions a little while ago, as soon as they made the change, they started with Harry Byrne in that game and put Kieran Frowley on, and the game changed. And then last week, I thought Pendergrass wasn't great, so I was surprised that they picked him. But like you've mentioned already, I think the game's going to be won and lost up front. You spoke about the bench of the Bulls. But if I look at the starting line, which they've chosen to pick exactly the same team that started in the semi, it's got 11 Springboks in the starting team, and then you've got 4 coming off the bench. And if you look at the 4 off the bench, it's the front row, which is Marco van Staden, Jan Hendrik Wessels, and Wilco Low, and Kubus Visa at lock. So they're not going to get softer as the game goes on. They're just going to get stronger and more physical. And if I look at where Leinster have made changes, it's obviously Porter going out has brought in Jerry Kahir, and Tide Furlong's back. So they've tried to bolster their front row there. But I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do that. I mean, I think that Bulls pack, and last year when I went to watch that Irish test versus South Africa there, where the Boks just totally annihilated Ireland at the scrum, how it's totally almost disintegrated their whole game structure, So really hoping the best of that for the Bulls. I also didn't realize that the Bulls are on the back of an 8 straight win.
Wow.
I didn't realize that at the time.
Wow.
But they haven't lost in 8 games. So they're taking a lot of confidence into this game, and they were there not long ago. And I think they've got the recipe with this forward pack to do the damage. And then I think, like you mentioned, Ambrose Papier and Andre Pollard, that experience that they've got there with those outside backs and Villy at the back, there's certainly enough experience in that group to lead themselves to a final win eventually, after being in 4 of the last 5 finals.
Yeah, but you've just got to remember they still have to get a lot of things right, and certainly defensively, the Leinster attack, particularly in phase play, is very dangerous. They've got this ability to be able to attack space, whether it's through the kicking game, and as much as Prendergast can have an off day, and will, hopefully he will, and he can also have an on day, and if Ireland, if the Irish side, Leinster, if they get that type of momentum and then they get into their shapes, they can be a real handful to defend. And let's face it, the Bulls, they're not good at that. They look vulnerable against Munster and defensively, and they look vulnerable against Glasgow at times defensively as well. So we know Leinster are a tougher outfit than both Munster and Glasgow. And we know they're playing in, potentially 80,000 people at Croke Park. So I can see why the bookies are the favourites for this game. I can see that. I just know that we're giving hope to what we think is the Bulls' strengths, and maybe it is their time, but they're going to have to play very well, maybe more without the ball to get this one. So we'll see what happens.
All right, well, we need to move on. Let's nail your colours to the mast. Plummy, who's going to win it?
No, we'll go with South Africa, mate. We have to. Bash, we have to. Exactly. Don't say what you really want to say. Say no. South Africa.
No, I'm saying Bulls. I've been saying that for a while. Okay. You were the one that was negative around it not so long ago. Okay. The Bulls. Okay. All right. Go Bulls.
All right. Go Bulls.
All right, and that leads us into Kaberga. 2 games on the weekend. The Boks, Plummy, have you? I'm sure you've seen the team. 4 Sharks boys starting. It's quite difficult when you look at a Springbok sheet now and you see the names Sia Khaleesi and Grant Williams, but they're not Sharks. They're someone else's property now. So we've got 4 starters in Ox, Edwil van der Merwe, Andre Esterhuizen and Fassi. And one in particular, new player on the bench, young Vusi Muyo at 10. Young Sharks players played in the SA under-21s. Were you a bit surprised at that selection of Vusi, Plummy?
You look a promising young player, but he's still got to learn the game properly. I'm surprised they put him in there. It's, it's typical Russie, isn't it? He likes to give a young fellow a bit of a crack, and it creates a bit of interest in that. But, the downside of it is that, Vusi's I've met Vusi a couple of times, a good kid. But it's really important that Vusi doesn't get ahead of himself now and think he's all of a sudden made it, because that's what can happen with these young guys. Let's face it, this new generation's in a little bit of a hurry. And I think, he should be biding his time at the Sharks, learning his trade, and then get the opportunity to play for the Springboks. Chuck him in there right now, I think, is a bit mad. And also, too, people out there don't know this, but he'll have an agent. Now the agent will go to the union and go, okay, well, now he's in this playing this caliber of international rugby. He's worth another 2 million rand. And that creates a problem, doesn't it? Because we know he's not. All he is getting an opportunity. So we're going a little bit off script. We're going a little bit off script here with the game, but putting young players like Schoolboy rugby players. I know Vussi's out of school now, but the other young fellas on the bench, isn't he?
No, so what we've got
For,
is in the SAA side, they've got Siaya and young Marcus Miller, who were both at school last year starting in the SAA side versus Zimbabwe. So that's also a massive, massive
I
stand,
mean, yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like it's Rusty giving these kids an opportunity, but I hope it's all put into context of where they are in terms of their development. Because I think that's really important, because all of a sudden there's a level of expectation now created with these young fellas, isn't there? When they go back into their unions, they all of a sudden know, well, there's an expectation because you've made this team now, you certainly have arrived, but they're still in the early parts of their development as players.
And we could say the same. I see at Lockheed's picked Riley Norton to start for the Springboks on Saturday, and I don't think Riley Norton's yet to play for the Stormers, so he's shown a bold hand here. And Kieran Horn, who generally plays at 15 for the Lions, has been selected in the 10 jersey. So some interesting selections as we expect from Rassie, but possibly because it's the Barbarians. Have you had a look at that Barbarian side? Do you think he's picked this side based on the team that they're up against?
No, not really. I think it's really just okay. He would have had in mind who he wanted to play. Really, he wouldn't be caring about what the Barbarians put up. I mean, you know what it's like to select the Barbarian side. It's who's available around the world and who's not injured and who can play and who's not in finals at the moment, and gather a team that they can get together. But I just saw some of the names, and TJ captain, and he's a competitive little bugger, and the Barbars historically get together and have 4 days of drinking and half an hour of training.
Well, they've been in Cape Town, so it's a good venue.
But knowing TJ, they're probably doing 4 days of training and half a day of drinking, because he'll want to go into this game and take it very seriously. And TJ's a perfect captain for this team because he's such a competitive bugger. He'll want to try and beat the Boks, and he'll probably try and do it single-handedly.
Well, knowing the Boks, so when I look at this Barbarian side, the strength is definitely for me not in the forwards. It's in the back line with, like you've mentioned, TJ Perenara and Albanos at 9 and 10. And in the midfield, you've got Nankivil and Vakatawa, which are two. Vakatawa is a huge player, French centre. And in the backfield, you've got Andrew Kellaway and Warwick Galant, and who's the other one? Duan van der Merwe, the South African thing. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity if they get enough good ball, but I think that's might be their problem, the Barbarians, whether they can get enough good ball from that forward pack, to put the Boks under pressure. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Bish. I mean, you pretty much nailed it. I mean, you know what the story is when you bring a team together. It's always cohesion is always the biggest danger that they haven't got it. So it's how they prepare this week, how quickly they can come together. I mean, the Boks are probably in the same boat as well. They haven't been together for ages as well. So, but they would have had a longer prep for this game. But I mean, hey, it's a celebration. The Barbars, that's what the Barbars is all about. It's not about winning and losing. The Barbars is about a team that gets pulled together to give an international side a run. I think next Sunday they're playing over here at Twickenham against Wales, which I'll be at. So it's lovely. It's lovely. It's just hopefully it's a good game of footy and everyone comes out of it safe.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a kickoff of a long season for the Springboks, because in June, July, they've got the Barbarians tomorrow. Then they've got England, Scotland and Wales. And then through August into mid-September, they got the All Blacks, and then finishing off on the 27th of September against Australia. So it's not an easy test season coming up for them. And maybe this is the one to start them off nice and gently. But money on obviously the Springboks, Plummy. I don't think that Barbarian side could do any damage on the weekend.
Oh, no, I think you'd have to back the Boks to win this and win it probably quite comfortably. And I think it's Razor's. I think he's coaching the Barbars, isn't he?
He is, yeah. So he's here with them. Wonderful. So we need to wrap this up now.
It'd be nice for the Barbars to get a good win for Razor, get back on the horse.
Jeez, it would be for him, but I can't see that happening. All right, we're going to break away to a song before we get our guest on show here.
Yes,
Kerry,
that's exactly.
what's
This
happening?
is TMO. We're
She's giving
live.
me those funny signals.
I know. I
Plum.
gave you the signal. You see, Plum, you can't see me, but I gave the signal. Like, enough now, boys. We need Mitchell on here. Okay. Radio plays it
Okay.
in 22 minutes to 1. We're going to be back now, and then let's see if technically we can do this. I believe we can. Radio plays it in, and usually we would never cut Tracy Chapman short, but it's a very exciting day. It's 20 minutes to 1. And live right now, we are coming to you as a three-way.
Three-way?
We're a three-way.
I thought you were going to say threesome.
I'm glad you cut Tracy Chapman short. I'm glad you cut
come
Tracy Chapman short.
Damn
That's
it,
the last time Tracy Chapman will be on our show.
Oh, okay, fine. I'm sorry. I apologize. But we're coming to you live from Umhlanga. We've got Coach Bash. From Cardiff, we've got Coach Plum. And then coming to us live from Surrey today, Coach John Mitchell.
Mitchie.
Yay!
Wonderful to
Hey guys,
The
Kerry.
legend.
Oh, Mitchie.
Look at that braai behind you there.
Oh, I saw that Brian full flow on Saturday and Friday night, and I just wanted to get any insight into John's performance last Friday night. And as he left here on Thursday, I was so excited, and I've got a feeling things went a bit pear-shaped at your place there on Friday night. Any insight for us on what happened on Friday?
I just describe it as irresponsible, Bash. Irresponsible. Yeah, but good.
Hey,
But good. It was next level. Next level.
Well, I said to you on Thursday.
I did my greatest rendition of Meatloaf.
Oh, and I've seen a few of those. Geez, Mitchie, I told you I was handing them over to you for a few weeks to give me a rest, but it's not easy looking after John, eh?
And then, Plum, I need you to turn your computer down, please, Plum. See how the other boys have got their technology on form? You see how Mitchell's got his earpods in there? And now we can hear the other music, that sound's coming from you, Plum.
Oh, can you hear? Is that better if I turn it down?
I think so.
Actually, Kerry's he's trying to create a sports bar, really. Yeah,
Oh,
right. Cricket, races. Yeah.
Okay,
He's got
carry on.
ADHD. Like he's wondering, like, yeah.
That's not easy. Not easy. Mitchie, geez, current world champions, current Six Nations champions. When you're here in December and we spent a bit of time, we were talking about how you were going to evolve your game going into the Six Nations. And one of the things you said to me, which fascinated me, which we as men coach never have to deal with, is I'm losing a few of my players before the Six Nations because they got pregnant after the World Cup.
Oh, I was like, wait,
how many
what?
got pregnant, mate?
4 in the one position. Unfortunately, they could have spread it, eh? Yeah.
Spread it round a bit. They didn't like you having the luck, eh? She's made it really tough for you.
So I think we're down to 7th lock in the country. So, hey, I mean, I guess there's something new to deal with, but it's like any team in it. You've got to find other people and just respond to it and get them to just sort of fit in, and which they did really quickly, to be fair, which we've actually been able to surface a few new players as a result of it.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Plum mentioned that he had been with you on the weekend to watch a club game, and he was really impressed by the standard of the club game. Have you seen a massive growth in the improvement of the standards with the success of the Roses?
I mean, it's always good to take somebody to the game for the first time, because you sort of fall into a bias, can't you? Just been seeing it all the time. I think he enjoyed the pace of it, the intent and stuff. I mean, I guess I was there watching it from a rugby point of view, seeing stuff that that probably won't work for us internationally, but both semi-finals went down to the wire. And there'll be a new champion, which is good for the game.
Awesome. Plummy, what were the areas that you felt that you were impressed by?
I was just impressed with their physicality and their fitness and their ability to be able to play to a structured game plan. Their counter-attack work looked quite good. Their ability to be able to reload and get into phase shape was good. I thought some of the set piece work was really good. Some of the mauling, the scrummaging pressure. So, all over, I was really impressed. I really enjoyed the game in between a few horse races Mitch and I were on. But you know,
I believe it weren't
and
going that well for you, Plum.
I had to go and line up and get coffee as well. And you know what? It's like 400 Rand for one coffee over there. I just paid for it. And this lady comes over and goes, "Oh, can I buy you and John, just John, because he's a legend over there. Can I buy you a coffee?" And I was going, "Oh no, I just paid for it," you know. So anyway, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, Mitchie, I
No,
guess
it's
the
good.
question that a lot of South African people and people in their cars at the moment are, I think you've coached men and women at the highest level, and I guess you get asked this all, how different is it, you know, coaching men and women? What's the biggest difference that you found in the transition from the men's game to the women's game?
It's not a lot different. And like anything, I think you get into trouble, don't you, when you go into something new and you premeditate. So I think the best piece of advice I got when I first started by somebody that had obviously experienced it before myself was, where there's common context, just stay in it, you know, like, because you've got knowledge, but when it's uncommon, stay out of it. So as you can imagine, I got a huge amount of biological questions before performance questions in the early days. It took a couple of tournaments to win before it came back to performance. Girls love to know the why. They love to be perfect and try and definitely the how's important to them. But ultimately, like anyone, you know, like when it comes to selection, some still validate selection, and they get quite emotional around that particular time. So it's really important to regulate or get them back into process, help them regulate quickly, so that you don't lose any preparation days. That's probably been the biggest thing that I've noticed.
Sure, yeah.
And Mitch, your preparation time, getting the players from the clubs, is it quite difficult with the time you get to prepare them for these big tournaments?
Oh, we're pretty lucky. We're different to the men's over here. The clubs own the players in the men's game. We own the 35 girls, you know, through contractual central contract. But as you can imagine, there's only probably 10 of those sort of girls spread amongst, you know, 9 or 35 of those girls spread amongst 10 teams in the country. So there's a lot of girls that are still trying to find an extra day of professionalism. There's a lot of girls that are working and also playing in the PWR domestic competition. So and then the pathway, yeah, we're starting to get results in that area, as you can see through the last tournament of new girls coming through. That if they get 1,000 minutes in the PWR, it generally puts them in a good position to play international rugby.
Plummy, do you want to add anything there, Plum?
Well, I think just I think a lot of people out there might be really interested in, you know, obviously the team's been very successful. I mean, you haven't lost a game since you've been there, so I think is it something like 37 games on the trot that the team's won, or is it more now? Be 40?
It's 38, I think. Yeah, 38.
That's quite something, isn't it? In professional sport. How do you keep them? How do you keep them sort of on the edge, if you like, in terms of you know, achieving a result when it be obviously so easy to slip into complacency?
Yeah, good question, Plum. Came out of the World Cup thinking, geez, you know, like how can I make him hungry again? Obviously had a communication camp in January where we don't do any rugby. And I just noticed in that camp asking, eliciting questions and stuff, that they weren't ready to think about performance. So they basically kind of like had 12 weeks. And I said to them, hey girls, you got 12 weeks to get on the start line. I realize everyone's got different feelings, different emotions having come out of the World Cup, and you're all in different positions mentally at the moment. So this is what's in front of you. This is what's exciting about the future, what we can go after. But make sure that you're ready on the start line in 12 weeks. And so only got a couple of small camps before we went into Six Nations. And I think I'm very, very fortunate that the program's highly resourced compared to any other women's program in the world. And there's competition for places. You know what it's like, guys. Best players available is certainly a good starting point, but competition where you got players chasing each other. So what I did going into this competition, a lot of the girls that didn't start in the World Cup, I just made them start in the Six Nations and just flipped it around and got the others to chase, and took away the complacency, created the hunger. And eventually we built really good cohesion and got 5 new caps introduced to the Red Roses way.
Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. And was there, look, I know after the World Cup, you were looking to evolve your game more because, I mean, obviously you've got the power game there, watching that club game the other day and seeing some of the physicality of the girls. I'm sure that's probably ahead in a lot of departments and, the physicality side of it and compared to maybe some other countries' competitions. But what's the sort of biggest sort of movement you've had in the girls' game over those Six Nations, you reckon?
It's broadly the same, but the key difference was the data was saying that we're probably too direct in the World Cup, and we played probably more of a territorial game. Potentially that brings in defence and wins pinnacle tournaments. So the thinking was we're probably carrying too much. So how can we get into sort of the wider spacing? And so the data increased by 20% and off 9, sort of tipping, short pass and ball out the back in the Six Nations. That allowed us to bring a lot more of our players in. We're overloading a lot more on the same way, driving at opposition as well when we've got front foot. And as a result of that, our kicking game's probably more of an attacking kicking game than, say, maybe a defensive structured kicking game. And all the language is around a quick ruck. I think that's probably the biggest difference. Is that it's funny how the consistency of language when you want to be intentional about something is extremely important. And you can't change that language, otherwise you'll affect the player. So I think we were, regardless of a lot of changes in the people within the group each week as well, I think we stayed really, really consistent on a quick ruck.
Lovely.
Funny how those simple concepts, quick ball, cause a lot of trouble to anyone, Mitch? Mitch, you've worked pretty much everywhere in the world of rugby. You've worked in New Zealand, South Africa, Australia, England, obviously, and Japan as well. Which rugby culture has influenced your coaching the most, do you think? Or are you a hybrid of all of those?
I'm thinking about going to Uruguay next, Bertie. No, only joking. I think every country's had its influence. Like you come from that your own bias where you've been brought up as a New Zealander, as a player, and obviously the all black mentality and way, and then you get exposed to English rugby, which I did after New Zealand rugby, and you get exposed to 42 games a year. So you see, the DNA of that country, which is very much set piece and a kicking game at that particular time. And then you go to South Africa, which is extremely physical as well and has great strengths similar to England. And then obviously that's evolved as well because you've got such talented backs, and obviously there's such a diverse player now playing for South Africa, which brings in new skill sets. And then obviously Australia has a way as well. And obviously I think if you look at majority of my time, though, my mind's probably been in attack, and I've always loved attack, but I've ended up coaching defense. But I think it's like anything, if you want to be a head coach, you necessarily start off with some the reference that you come from, like being a former back rower, and then you evolve and add things to it, and you have to add things to it. So, but my love's still attack, really, and I think probably every country has actually allowed me to evolve that thinking, and that's not just country, that's coming across people and coaches as well that have been nice enough to share and give me time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to wind up in a few minutes' time, but just a sort of a lighter question, if you like. I mean, I want to talk about a couple of things here, but how do you get on in the changing room? Do you have to wear sort of these darker type glasses when you go into the changing room, or do you sort of have to avoid the changing room for a couple of hours after a game? How do you get on in that space?
Oh, yeah.
So when I first started,
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I first started, we were playing in Wellington, and I was just wanting to go for a nervous wee, and I was sort of about to walk into the changing room, and the doctor goes, "Oh, no, you're down the corridor, mate." Okay, radio.
yeah.
So that was my first First, I got that, and then obviously there's a staff room, and then we just get whistled up when the girls have, in decent order,
Okay.
and we bring closures. So I said to the girls the other day on a podcast, I said that's probably the one thing I miss is the locker room, banter, and that feeling of winning, and celebrating with you and expressing those emotions. So you've got to hold on to all that now before until closure. And they just said, "Oh, it doesn't matter, Mitch. You might as well just come in whenever you want. Yeah, we know you now."
They used to,
You're
and for me, this is where I think, Bash, you have to stick to the boys' game because you get chucked out of the girls' game real quickly.
Mitch was like the
You see
gay
what I
best
have
friend.
to put up with, Mitch? Doesn't ever stop, eh?
Ah.
And that's very rich coming from you. That's why you've never gone that way, because you don't trust yourself, I don't think.
But Bashy, why do you leave your seat at the braai and either go to the toilet or attend to the braai? You know that's trouble for you.
It's a weakness
You're
of
gonna
mine.
get spotted.
I've got
Yeah.
too much faith and trust in my friends, which I clearly shouldn't have. Hey, just before we head off in our directions, Mitchie, there's just for the people listening, we've got one John Mitchell. How many games did you play for the Chiefs, Mitch?
I coached the Chiefs and I played 134 games for Waikato. Yeah,
Whoa.
That's a lot of rugby
yeah.
playing for the Chiefs, and Plum was obviously involved in the Hurricanes as coach in that. And there's this little game going on this weekend, a Super Rugby final between the Chiefs and the Hurricanes. All right, now what your thinking's there? A bit of competition between the two of you.
Yeah, Plum's. I think I heard Plum talk a few Rangers scores over the week. Being in Hurricanes land, I think might be a bit tough for us. So I still think it'll be close. I guess it's Mackenzie versus Love, isn't it? Really, that are probably the orchestrators, I guess. So it'll be interesting to see what tactics happen to I guess nullify their games because they're huge attacking threats.
Okay, why don't we just have a little? The winner, the loser has to down a soul. When we get back there on Sunday, you have to down a soul.
Yeah, Sol's
Ooh,
pretty
I like
light
that.
though, Plum. It's
go
only
Guinness.
it's only 3.5%. Yeah.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
I like that bottle of tequila that you were drinking the other night, Mitch. and I saw you on the
not a
video.
bottle of
So Plum
tequila.
loves tequila.
Mexico. Yeah, Mexico. Yeah.
There we go.
No. We'll just make it a Guinness. We'll make it a Guinness at that pub around the corner. Okay.
Okay,
loser.
and then if you don't split the G and you're the loser in the level, then you got to go 2 Guinnesses. Yeah.
There we go. I like
Ooh,
those
that's
rules.
another level. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, and just from my side, I've got to go now because I've got a beautiful brunette here waiting to give me a massage. I'm going to. I forgot what I was going to say now. I'm going to wish.
No,
What do
exactly.
you think? Who you think's going to
DJ
win the game? Hurricanes.
I got distracted. I'm going to wish Daryl, Mitch's boys playing for New Zealand got a nice 40 odd yesterday. Unfortunately, missed out on his 50, but hopefully he has a really good game there, Mitch. And I know you'll be heading along to the Oval soon. And next week we're going to head to Trent Bridge, aren't we? So we'll be a bit busy next week, yeah, Mitch. So radio shows and stuff.
Yeah, I love Trent Bridge where they sort of create a snake with all the empty pints. So hopefully Plum and I might have a few of those.
I think you'll contribute a lot to that. Yeah, Daryl's had an unbelievable career, and I actually watched some of his innings yesterday, Mitch. You must be really proud. So enjoy the cricket today. Come on, the Kiwis, or the Black Caps, as we call them. And good to chat to you both, eh?
And go to
358 for
Hurricanes.
7. Yeah.
Go to Hurricanes.
Go the
And Glenn
Hurricanes.
Phillips is on 82. And the Hurricanes, Chiefs, mate. Chiefs.
Hurricanes.
The
Hurricanes.
Patu.
I got a
The
funny
Patu.
feeling the Hurricanes are going to get up this week with the mighty Kersney.
Oh, jeez.
Let's have the positivity.
Eventually. Thank goodness. All right, guys. Wonderful to chat, eh?
And Saracens to win the PWR, I think, yeah.
Is that it, Mitch?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll keep an eye on that.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Remember,
Thanks
2
a lot for coming on the
Guinnesses,
show,
2 Guinnesses, Plum. 2 Guinnesses, mate.
2 Guinnesses.
2
Yeah.
Guinnesses.
Send me a video, Mitch.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Split the G, boys.
Yeah.
Split the G.
Okay, love you guys.
Good luck.
Mate.
Have a good day. Love you. Bye. Bye. Ciao.
Bye.